my fellow Americans. Just kidding. It's more like it. But there's something missing. Here we go. That's good, Mate. So what's good, people? Billy here with Kizomba Harmony's next video log or vlog or whatever you want to call it. This time we're going to talk about the state of unity in the Kizomba community. That's why it's called Kizomba Harmony's State of Unity Address. Also, just kind of having a little fun because of, the whole presidential thing going on, all that stuff. So, my name is Billy Miles. I am co-director of Kizomba Harmony, a dance company based in Houston, Texas, although we travel all over the world to teach, train, DJ, all that good stuff. My partner is a lovely Monica K. If I figure out the video editing, I'm gonna try to put a picture of her like there or there. Well, we'll figure it out later. So, to begin, why am I making this vlog? To talk about the state of unity in our community. Why am I in a position to talk about it? Well, as I mentioned, we travel the world to teach and train, and now, for me, DJing as well. And we have seen a lot of things, good and bad. We see the potential that our community has, but we also see that we're not there yet. But in order for us to get there, we need to first be on the same page about where we are. It's kind of like you have to know where you've been to know where you're going, so on and so forth. So we're in a position to talk about that. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Disclaimer before we begin. This is not meant to just hurt people's feelings or take shots at people. Though I know that this is going to ruffle feathers every time I make a post, it does, because the truth tends to hurt people's feelings. But though the truth may hurt, it heals cleanly. So without further ado, let's get started. So what is the current state of unity in Kizomba? Non-existent. That's right, I said it. There is no unity in Kizomba. We're not unified at all. What we have are a collection of little cliques and groups here and there who don't really work together or really do anything together, honestly. And some actually attack each other. There's a lot of fighting going on worldwide over, different ideologies, all kind of good stuff, bad stuff rather, going on. So in the US, what's it like? You have basically, I wouldn't say there's more than like 500 hardcore dancers right now in Kizomba who travel and all that stuff. But you have a couple cliques. These cliques are basically formed around organizers and instructors who are kind of the leader of these cliques. One clique is what I would call a traditionalist clique. Now, this means that they have a preference of music and dance that is more traditional, right? So they prefer more Kizomba, Semba, Zouk music, maybe a little bit of ghetto Zouk that they can tarrashinha to, but they don't like any of the more instrumental-y type stuff that's associated now with urban kids and French style and all that. The irony is that many of them are hating on music that is actually created by Africans. Much of the music created by French style, that's associated with French style dancers, was created by Africans, Angolans actually, and other Africans who were living in Portugal and other places like that. So there's a bit of hypocrisy there, but I could talk about that later. So anyway, you have a clique of people who are traditionalists. Then on this side, you have a clique of people who are trying to push urban Kizomba. Now, the irony of urban Kizomba, considering Kizomba is already an urban dance, is not lost on me. But, and the fact that there's already a marketing term, urban kids, so now there's urban Kizomba, urban kids, I don't know. But whatever, they're trying to push all that stuff. There's also a festival organized to promote this. But here's the interesting thing. If you go to one of these traditional festivals, they're going to play a type of music they're not going to play a lot of music that you can dance French style to. If you go to one of these urban Kizomba things, they're not going to play a lot of Kizomba or Semba or Zouk music. They're going to play mostly instrumentals and remixes and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting how you'll have people who, because we make it a point to try to support everybody. So we go to this festival and we're dancing to instrumentals all night long. We see some people we've never met before. Then we go over to this festival. Many of the people who go here would never go here. Many of the people who go here would never go here. And we find that really interesting, but also sad, because Imagine there's 200 people here, there's 200 people here. There could be 400 people here. In Europe, it's very similar, except instead of, here you have separate festivals. In Europe, you have one festival, separate rooms. So you'll have the Kizomba room, Semba room, traditional room, whatever you want to call it. Then you'll have the Urban Kids 2.0 French style Tarraxinha room over here, right? People never mix. So we found that odd when we were teaching in Europe, and we saw that because we were going back and forth because we like both and pulling people from here to here and pulling people from here to here because this is how we like to roll. But most people weren't doing that. In the US, it's like that, except it's now whole events that only cater to one thing, right? That's kind of how it stands right now. So you have these two major cliques, and then you have little groups here and there of people who don't really fit in either clique, like us, because we like Kizomba, Semba, Zouk. We also like French style, based on a strong African dance foundation, but we like a more diverse feel to our parties, our events, our dancing. So you have these little groups. Now, is this in and of itself bad? No, it's not bad. It's not necessarily wrong or illegal for people with similar interests to want to band together. The problem is that people who are not a member of the clique, they don't work with you, they don't support you. Sometimes they'll even attack you. We've been on the receiving end of this. People have tried to attack our dance ability, so on and so forth, in a misguided effort to discredit us. It, of course, didn't work, but this is what happens sometimes when these clique politics come into play. So if we're a member of the same clique, I'll work with you, I'll support you, I'll bring you to my festival, you bring me to yours, yada, yada, yada. If we're not in the clique, I'm not gonna support you, and I might try to attack you. That's why a lot of this fighting is going on, because sometimes it's because people are trying to defend their culture or whatever, but sometimes it's just politics. You're not a member of my clique, so I want to see you go down because I don't want competition. So I guess that'll bring us to, why do we have this very cliquish vibe in the scene right now? Well, first, I guess you got to understand, in the US, many of the people who are now the leaders, and when I say leaders, I'll put a quote because to me, a leader is someone who sets a good example. But there's another definition of leader as someone who just has followers. But there are people in our community who are leaders, but not leaders. More on that later. But many of these people, they didn't achieve their position because of any great talent in dance or because they're just upstanding people. It's just because they're just first on the scene. So it's kind of like if you're a little boy, you're walking along, you trip over a rock, fall on your butt into a sandbox, and nobody's around at the time. You're like, oh, I guess this is my sandbox now. You build your little sandcastle. It's my sandcastle. It's my sandbox. Nobody else can come. Then when other people come to your sandbox, you're like, well, you want to build sand here, you have to kiss my butt a little bit or pay me a tribute. They're like, no, you don't own this sand, so they come. Then they build a bigger sandcastle than you. Now you're feeling some kind of way because you got there first, but somebody else has been doing more with the time than you have. Or maybe they're more talented than you. They bring more value to the table. For whatever reason, now you're feeling some kind of way. This is, I guess, a simple illustration of why we have this cliquish mentality. You have people who have gotten into a position of influence, and they are afraid to lose that position of influence to other people who are coming in. That's why you have the clique. So it's kind of like, let's band together and work together and try to pump ourselves up, and everybody else will either not help them or will try to push them down. And this is kind of what's happening. There's a lot of insecurity in the community. Now, the truth is, in any business, in any industry, the most successful people in an ideal world will be the people who offer the most quality to people. That's not always the case. Sometimes, often, rather, politics play a big role. So let's say you might have, you might be putting on a quality event, but people won't support your event because it's not their event. So you making money on an event doesn't put any money in their pocket, so they won't support you, even if it's a good event that people should support to help grow the scene. But again, I'll talk more about that later. But there's a very territorial vibe in the community. You know, teachers, DJs, organizers, they're very competitive, and competitive in a very external way rather than an internal way. I'm competitive internally. I want to be better than I was yesterday. If I see someone else working hard, it motivates me to work even harder, right? So I'm inspired by people who work hard. They motivate me to be better. But other people, they see other people doing well, they want to push them down. So rather than bringing yourself up, it's easier for some people to push others down or to try to. Hence all the fighting and the lack of support we see in the community. So why is this a problem? Well, I've seen some marketing types out there who say things like, you know, it's not my job to worry about what people should do in the community. You know, if you offer value, people will come, whatever, stuff like that. And it sounds nice, but the truth is value is never the only part of the equation. There are plenty of people who offer value but aren't supported, not because they don't offer value, but because the powers that be, the influencers, don't want to see anyone else succeed. And this is the main reason why there's a lack of unity in our community. The leaders, and remember, I'm putting these quotes again because they're not really leaders in that they set examples, a good example. They're leaders in that they have some followers and sycophants. The leaders, many of the leaders who are currently in positions of influence don't want unity. What they want is to build their own little fiefdoms where they control the narrative, where people do what they say, where they can kind of funnel everyone through them. So, you know, if you want to be a teacher and you're a member of the clique, you can't be a teacher unless a leader of that clique gives you his or her approval. You want to be a DJ, you better get my approval. You want to come put an event in my city, or anyone else in the city wants to do an event, it better be through me. I better be involved in it, or I'm going to torpedo it, or I won't support it. People want to be kings and queens of their own little fiefdoms here and there, rather than having a huge scene that they can't control. But this all goes to this insecurity. People are insecure about the value they bring to the table. They're insecure about their product. They're insecure about their position. A secure person sees someone else doing this thing and says, you know what? I like what you're doing. I want to be friends with you. Let's work together. And as more people like this come together, you see tremendous growth. But that's not what happens. If you're not in someone's clique and they see you working, they're like, oh man, they might take mine. They might take what I have, you know? So I'm not going to support them. So you have people squabbling over a couple hundred people when there's literally millions of people in this country and worldwide who have yet to be exposed to Kizomba. If people work together, maybe our community could grow to millions. And when you have millions of people dancing Kizomba, everyone can eat well off that, assuming you're providing a quality product. More on that in a little bit. Because the truth is, some of the people who are kind of currently in positions of leadership have been lazy as far as the product they offer. You have teachers who aren't really training as much as they should be. You have teachers in the traditionalist camp who use the fact that they're African to try to give themselves some African privilege and take advantage of people who don't know any better. Just because you're African doesn't mean that you're an expert on Kizomba or Semba. And heck, most of these Africans who are talking all this crap, these traditionalists, are not Angolan. And not only are they causing problems, but they're giving Kizomba and Africans a bad name from their bad behavior. Some of the bad behavior that I've seen happen by so-called leaders in the community, backstabbing people, lying, being nasty. And now we're even hearing stories of sexual assault being perpetrated by respected instructors in our community. And then you have people who are trying to co-sign and defend these perpetrators because of clique politics. If you have a teacher who's influential, who you think a relationship with him or her is going to further your own career, then part of you is going to want to defend them even when they engage in bad behavior because you think, oh, I might be able to get something from him. Or if you are an organizer and you're working with this person, well, crap, I better, he's helping me make money. So you have a relationship. So you have people defending bad behavior because of personal relationships and selfish motives rather than doing what's right. You have so many people in the community talking about other, Trump and all these other stuff going on, but we have our own real life Trumps in the Kizomba community right now being co-signed. Now, I haven't heard about, anyone talking about grabbing people in the meow, but I've heard about worse things being perpetrated by people who were supposed to be leaders in our community. Very few people say anything about it because they're either cowards or because they're just selfish. Now, is it illegal to be selfish? No. But for those who truly want to see a quality community grow, we're going to need courage, leaders who are willing to stand up and do what's right. So, why should people care about unity, right? I've seen people say, I don't have the energy to care about what people should do for the good of the community. It's not, people who basically just care about themselves. And this is where I'll get into the scene builder mindset versus the opportunist mindset. A scene builder is someone who cares about more than themselves. They want to see the community grow, and they do things that benefit the greater good. It doesn't always immediately benefit themselves directly, but it benefits the community. An opportunist is only really focused on what they can do, what can be done for them, their own immediate advantage. And many of the instructors, organizers, DJs in our community are just opportunists. They see some money to be made. They see some influence to be had. They see some women or some men that they can get, right? Because you have to understand that, and this is not just for dance, but you have a lot of people in dance who before they started dancing and got into this community, they had very little status in the real world. You have dudes who got very little attention from women before. Now, because they're now an instructor or an experienced dancer or an artist of some sort, now they're getting attention from women. They don't know how to deal with it responsibly. So this is part of why you have all this foolishness going on, all this meat market vibe. Why you have instructors who are taking advantage of women. I mean, and don't get me wrong, there are women who are also taking advantage as well. People who are not used to, here your status was here, now your status is here. It goes to your head. You have ego problems. You have a problem with people acting like celebrities. Let's be honest, very few dance instructors are wealthy. This is not, a big money maker. A lot of people who do this, they do this for passion because it's difficult to make a lot of money off dance. It just is. But you have people walking around acting like Jay-Z and Beyonce when they're broke. But you have these celebrities. Oh, I don't work for free because I do this and I will never do. Well, this is a problem. We recently had a charity event and we reached out to different people to, come be a part of it. It was to support a cause, an organization called Climb Against Sexual Abuse and you can go to climbagainstsexualabuse.com and donate. It's a great organization. So we reached out to different people and, none of us got paid off this event. This was a charity event. But you have people who didn't want to be a part of it. Why? Hey, celebrities. I'm not doing anything for free. Okay. Now, charity isn't for everybody. But imagine if every instructor, every DJ, every organizer actually cared about something more than their own pockets, their own power, their own money, their own influence, their own attention from the opposite sex or the same sex. Imagine what it would be like if we had people who would support each other. Now, support. When it comes to support, some people, they're like, oh, what does support mean? People are trying to make up their own definitions of support to suit their own interests. So this is what the dictionary says. Support, to bear all or part of the weight of, hold up, or to give assistance to, especially financially, and able to function or act. So now that we know what the definition of, let me ask you a question. How many instructors who travel have you seen buy a full pass to an event they are not booked to teach at? Ask the same for DJs or organizers. How many times have you seen someone purchase a full pass to support an event they weren't a part of? Or an event that's not organized by someone in their clique? Because sometimes in the traditional clique, you'll see sometimes people will go only to those events, none other. Ask yourself, how often do you see that? I don't see it very often at all. People don't support people's events. Or you have instructors who think because they're instructors that they deserve a free pass to other people's events, even if they're not teaching. This is a problem. So if you don't get a free pass, you won't come. And even sometimes if they got a free pass, people won't come because they don't want to support. What I do see is I'll see some instructors, so sometimes go to a party or two, stay for an hour or two, whatever. But you don't see a lot of real, true support in the community. Now, is this illegal? No. But a unified community will grow much faster and be much more sustainable than a divided community. It'll be a bigger community. Now, of course, it'll be more difficult to control. You know, these little fiefdoms that people are building, it's easy for people to control them. You know, and you have these leaders in the fiefdoms who are kind of looked at as demigods, which is why many of them are engaging in bad behavior because they're being enabled by people. No, I can't believe this person would do that because they're a great instructor, or they're very charming, or they have, you know, I see them on YouTube videos. But being a teacher, being a DJ, being an instructor, being an organizer, none of this makes you a good person. There are a lot of leaders in the community who have zero character, but they're being enabled by people because they want the approval of a group or approval of an instructor. But let me ask you a question. Is having the approval of a clique or an instructor or a festival organizer or an experience or anyone influential in the community, is their approval worth jeopardizing your integrity and your values? To me, no. Part of the reason why I'm doing this, a lot of instructors and people in the industry, they're afraid to speak out about these issues because they don't want to piss off organizers. They're afraid they won't get booked at festivals. But to me, there are more important things in life than a festival, even a relatively big one, even a fun one. There are more important things in life than a festival. And I say that as a festival organizer. There are more important things in life than a festival. And the sooner we all realize that, the easier it's going to be to hold people accountable. Which gets me to, how do we build a unified community? Well, it starts with the leaders. The leaders need to want unity. So for the community, how can you do that? Hold your leaders accountable, right? And being unified doesn't mean supporting crappy events or supporting a crappy teacher, because we've been critical of instructors, particularly on the urban Kizomba side, who have very little African dance foundation. They're trying to push urban Kizomba when they barely dance Kizomba. And I'm going to have a whole nother message for the whole urban Kizomba community. But I'll just say for right now, urban Kizomba people, your part in helping us to be unified, respect Kizomba. Learn African dance, respect it. The creator of Urban Kiz is a Congolese man who dances Semba better than many of these traditionalists do. It's the truth. Because of that, the style that he created works best with a strong foundation. So if you're an Urban Kiz dancer or teacher, make sure that you're also learning Kizomba and Semba. There are some good marketers out there who have a nice package. They're good at the marketing, nice website, all this, but their actual African Dance Foundation is very weak. Don't be fooled by the marketing. Ask someone, who have you trained with in African dance? Kizomba, Semba, African dance. Ask them, who have they trained with? If they can't tell you, red flag. If you want to dance urban Kizomba to the highest level, you need that foundation. I'll make a whole nother video on that for you guys later, but that's your part. Show respect to the roots, right? Then you'll have the Angolans and Palops and people who aren't just haters. They'll come and support you too. But you can't have unity with someone who you're disrespecting, okay? So urban Kizomba people, respect Kizomba. Yes? Thank you. Traditionalist camp people. Many of the reason that people in the urban Kizomba camp don't want to learn Kizomba is because a lot of the big names or the kind of the faces of Kizomba right now, many of whom are African, have created so much division. I've seen these so-called leaders. They will call people in different communities. They'll call one person and say, hey, you're great. I think you have a lot of potential. I'm going to do, but I don't know about this guy. Then they'll call the other guy. Hey, I think you have a lot of potential. Bring me to your city for workshops. Yeah, bring me, but I don't know about this guy. They create division. I've seen the same division created in Europe, and now it's happening here in the US. Hold these leaders accountable. Leaders, okay? Just because someone is an organizer of a big festival or has taught at festivals doesn't mean they're demigods, doesn't mean they're infallible. If someone is wrong, don't support them. The community will grow based on what is supported. If you support people who are opportunists, then you're basically just going to support the growth of cliques. If someone's only in it for their own money, their own fame, their own power, their own access to women or men or whatever, people like this, they're not going to go away, right? Opportunists will go wherever opportunity is. But you can't build a scene on opportunism. You can build a community on scene builders. The few people out there who are willing to support other people. If you see people out there in the scene who are supporting other people's events, who are, showing love, when you have new people who are dancing, the people who are dancing with the beginners, making them feel welcome, these are the people who are going to build the core of a community that can last. An opportunistic clique will not last. It will not stand the test of time. But to all you scene builders out there, if you really love Kizomba, if you see the potential and want to build, let's come together. We started a Kizomba Facebook group called Kizomba Unity for this purpose, to talk about things that are going on in the community honestly and to work together to build a unified community. So I'm going to try to make a little pop-up so you can see. Join the group and join the discussion. Those of us, there are actually quite a few of us in the community who actually care about more than our own pocketbook. And we would love to have you with us. The leaders, I'll say it again, the leaders in the community are the ones who will influence the way the community looks. So if you support leaders who engage in bad behavior, you're enabling it. Support people who support the community. Now, I'm not going to say don't go to an event, that's just because someone's not a good person. Sometimes people are going to go to a good party. Me personally, though, I know of some serious bad behavior that's gone on in our community. There's only so much I can say about it right now. In time, more and more will come out. But I personally am not going to support, and I say it right now, any instructor who engages in any criminal activity, I will not support you. I will not put any money in your pocket. And those of us who want a truly unified community, I hope you do the same thing. Hold your leaders accountable. I'll say that again. Hold your leaders accountable. Please. Don't co-sign bad behavior. Think about what kind of community do you want? The Kizomba community, because of the beauty of this dance, I've never been a part or never learned a dance that was so much about connection, about family and fun. And this is African dance. This has the potential to be the greatest dance of all time. No offense to the salsa bachata people. I love that as well. But for me, Kizomba is something special. It could easily grow to be as popular as the Afro-Latin dances, if not bigger. I've seen the power of Kizomba to literally change people's lives. People have turned their lives around because of Kizomba. This is beautiful. We could have a community millions strong, a diverse community with lots of different, it doesn't matter if you like urban kids or you like Kizomba Semba. It doesn't matter. We could all be together. Imagine where the urban kids people also dance Kizomba and Semba, where the traditionalists actually understood Semba as well, instead of just trying to do Semba show all the time and calling it Kizomba or calling it Semba. Imagine where everyone respected Kizomba and Semba, where DJs played all types of music. Everyone danced together in one room. This is actually the purpose of our festival that we're organizing, and we're going to have one room, and DJs are going to play everything. There will be no two rooms. There will be no cliquishness. Everyone come together, and it's my hope that more organizers will also do this. I know in Europe it's particularly difficult because of all the division that's currently happened there. And if you're in Europe, I hope that you take my words and listen. If you're an urban kids lover, please go to the Kizomba room, dance. A lot of the times, you know, the fun and the energy of Kizomba and Semba, you know, you go in there, you see people smiling. You go in the urban kids room, people aren't smiling. Let's not forget what Kizomba's all about. Go in the Kizomba room, then go back to the urban kids room. Do both. Then maybe in the future, when the organizers see everybody switching, you know, going back and forth, they'll have one big room for everybody. If you dance urban Kizomba or whatever you want to call it and don't dance Kizomba, what you're really dancing is a mutation. If you like Kizomba Semba and you're dancing Semba show on the social dance floor, you're misappropriating Semba. You're misrepresenting the dance, especially Kizomba as well, because Kizomba is not about tricks. Learn from people who actually know Kizomba. Being African doesn't make you an expert on Kizomba. I know plenty of Africans who use the fact that they're African to try to pump themselves up, but their actual knowledge of Kizomba and Semba is only surface at best. So don't be fooled by the okie doke. Do your research. I've seen you know, some marketing and value, you know, some marketing types talk about value, and I'll spend just a quick note to touch on that. It is true. Unity doesn't mean that people have to support your events if they're crappy. Unity doesn't mean that people have to come to your classes if you don't know what you're talking about. If you are a teacher with a bad foundation, you can't expect people to support you just because you're teaching Kizomba. If you have an event with crappy DJs and crappy music, crappy venue, you know, unfriendly people, you can't expect people to just come to your event just because you're having an event. You have to add value, meaning you have to provide quality. But if someone is providing quality, community, support everyone who's adding quality to the scene. Because if you don't, only the most hardcore people are going to continue to throw events that aren't supported. And then what's going to happen is you're going to have less events to go to yourself, and the community will die. So support people who add value. Support people who have quality, regardless of politics. If leaders act up and engage in bad, divisive behavior, call them out on it. Do not enable it. Because if you enable it, they'll continue to do it. We have too many instructors right now and DJs and organizers and people in positions of influence who are abusing their position of authority and taking advantage of people. And I'm not just talking about sexual assault. I'm talking about just using people. You know, you have people who want to teach at a festival so bad. They spend all this time trying to kiss their butt. And they're just being used. This isn't right either. Instructors, teaching at a festival is not the end-all, be-all in life. There are more important things. You can build your brand, your community. You can build your business without teaching at a lot of festivals if you have a quality product. But if you don't have a quality product, no amount of marketing is going to make you successful. There are some really good marketers out there who have a not so good product, but their marketing is good. This is true. It'll only get you so far, though, because people in the know, like me, will call it out. You can't have unity with someone who is disrespecting you. If you love Kizomba and Semba and you see someone over here in the urban Kizomba camp who doesn't know Kizomba and is out here teaching people BS, I don't want to be unified with that. Nobody wants to be unified with garbage. I know it's strong words, but nobody wants to be unified with BS. We all want to be unified with quality. Our purpose is to build a quality united community where the instructors know what they're talking about, proper foundation. DJs know what they're talking about, proper foundation. Organizers actually care about putting on quality events and not just padding their pockets. where people will care about more than just, well, is this going to make me money? Is this going to make a person in my clique money? Which means, is this going to make me money? Just because something doesn't make you money immediately doesn't mean that it's not worth supporting. Yeah? So I will close with this statement. Not everyone who is a leader right now in the community deserves to be a leader. In fact, what you're going to find is a few years from now, many of the people who are now leaders right now are going to be gone for different reasons. There are a lot of people coming in right now who are hungry, who are working hard, and who actually care about building a community. I know because this past weekend, I just worked with some of them. The future of Kizomba in the U.S. is looking really bright because we have people who aren't resting on their laurels or trying to use the fact that they're African or trying to, use the fact that they were the first to do something in the U.S. to pump themselves up. They're using hard work. And at the end of the day, you can't fight dedication and hard work. So you're going to see a big change in the way the community grows. For those who watch this video and feel discouraged about joining Kizomba, understand that many of the things that we're dealing with in Kizomba, it's not unique to Kizomba. This is something that happens in all dance communities. This is something that's happening worldwide. I mean, heck, we have a presidential candidate talking about grabbing women in the meow. So this is not, this is not just specific to Kizomba. But Kizomba has the potential to be something really special. In order for that to come to pass, we need more good people just like you to stand up, hold your leaders accountable, become leaders yourself. Support each other. Support everyone who's adding value to the community within reason. I mean, people can't go to every single event. I know we can't, but try. Go to one more event this month than you would ordinarily. Just show up, If someone's having a workshop, go. I see a lot of instructors who are too cool to come to workshops now. I see a lot of people who've been dancing for a couple of years. They think they're too good to go to workshops now. I'm telling you now, there's no one in the U.S. who's too good to go to a workshop, including me. I went to plenty this weekend. Let's support workshops too. We need our community to grow, which means we need to increase our level of dancing if we're going to attract top talent here. Yeah? So hold the leaders accountable. Don't enable bad behavior. Support each other. Stop being so insecure and territorial. If you feel insecure by someone, work harder. Show love to people who are putting in work. And stop being so insecure. And lastly, stop engaging in bad behavior. People who are in positions of influence. Stop taking advantage of people. And I mean that in every possible construction of the phrase. Stop taking advantage of people. Instructors, DJs, organizers, people look up to you. Set an example. If you don't be surprised if you turn around and find that you're no longer a leader in the community. We have no more room for people who abuse their position and hurt the healthy growth of our community. Don't say you weren't warned. To all the people in the community who are working hard and adding value, thank you. We appreciate you. Let's work together and build the kind of community that will last for 50 years. The kind of community where our grandkids can still enjoy a quality community that's family friendly, that's safe for people of all races and genders, where the roots and history of Kizomba are respected such that people of the African community feel comfortable coming to our events and dancing with us. But not such a judgmental, cliquish atmosphere that people who like new styles and fusions don't also feel comfortable coming to our events. Let's bring everyone together in a quality community. And in that way, everyone can get paid. For those of you who only care about money, you will get paid if you support a unified community. But the purpose isn't money. The purpose is community building, yeah? So with that, I will end my State of Unity address. If there's anything I missed or anything you have to add, please add it in the comments. Share the video if you like it. And I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. I don't think I left anything out. But yeah, I think I did. Not leave anything out. Thank you for watching the State of Unity address. I bid you adieu. Be safe out there, and I'll see you on the dance floor.